to part 1 of The Traitors. This is the series where I am combining characters from Campaign 1 and Campaign 2 of Critical Role, so Vox Machina and the Nighty Nein, and we are putting them into the TV series The Traitors to see what would happen. In this episode today, I'm going to explain to you the concept of the game, how it is going to work, what your role in it is going to be, because as always, I love you guys voting and commenting and doing stuff, and I need to get you guys involved, and I'll run through everything that's going to be happening on my end, the decisions I'm going to be making, the things I'm going to be leaving up to chance, and just, yeah, how this game is going to work. I do have a question for you guys before we start though, which is how long do you want it to run for? So my idea was that much like the OC story that comes out every Friday, this could be a thing that comes out every Monday, and then it would last about 7 to 8 weeks, depending on how many murders, banishments, and other things happen. Or I could do it a couple of times a week. So if you guys want more of this content, or maybe you're currently like me and you're watching the UK series that's happening right now and you're just really invested and need more episodes and you don't want to wait 5 days for the next one. So yeah, let me know if you want more than one episode a week. I can probably work that one out. We could probably do Monday and Wednesday, and then Friday can be the OC story, and then Peter Pan lore will sort of happen once every week and a bit, because those videos tend to be a lot more complicated to sort out. Not that this one hasn't been complicated. Anyway, let me know what you want in the comments down below, but for now, let's dive into how is this going to work. Okay, much as I love Claudia, my tribute to her has to end here. I am not a fringe person, can you tell? But I am Ginger again. Woo! To start off, I'm going to explain how each episode is going to be laid out, with the exception of this episode because it's the first one, so it's going to be a little bit different. So from episode 2 onwards, they will all be roughly the same format. Each episode will start with me revealing who has been banished. I will reveal this, you guys will have voted on this, I'll explain more about that in part 2. As well as this, the character will reveal whether they were in fact a traitor or a faithful. The next thing that's going to happen in every episode is the characters will all take part in a team challenge. Now, I've made a few edits to this because I don't want it to be exactly like the TV shows. I've made it a little bit more, well, challenging. There is one big challenge that everyone is trying to compete in to win money for the prize pot, which I'm going to be describing in coin because it's fantasy, so it's not going to be in pounds or dollars or anything. It'll be in coin. So they're trying to win coins in the big treasure chest for the grand finale. However, there will also be ways for the traitors to choose to manipulate the games, which will add to their own potential winnings. And of course, there will be shields up for grabs as well. After the challenge has been done and described, I will then move on to the characters answering your questions. So that's another thing that I'll talk about in a minute in part 2. You guys can ask the characters questions and I will give you their answers, and you can make of those answers what you will. The next thing that will happen in every episode is I will reveal who the traitors have decided to murder. That character will be murdered off and never seen again. They will not actually have been killed though, just to clarify, it's still a game. And then the final part of each episode is over to you guys. I will open the voting. You guys will be voting on 3 things down in the comments. Well, you'll be voting on 2 things and you will be asking questions as well. So the 2 votes you will have is voting on who you think is a traitor and who you want to banish. Or, I mean, you don't have to think they're a traitor. You could just not like them and want to banish them, I suppose. But you're voting on who you want to banish and accuse of being a traitor. You are also going to be voting for who you want to give the shields to. So that's something else you'll be voting for in the comments. And the third thing you guys are going to be doing is giving me questions. A question for all of the characters or just one particular character, a question you want them to answer. Yes, you can ask, are you a traitor? It doesn't guarantee they're going to tell you the truth though. So those are the 3 things that will happen at the end of the episode. I will open it up to you guys and you can give me your votes for banishment, for the shields, and any questions you want to ask the characters. So that is the episode layout. That's roughly how each video is going to happen. Now we're going to move on to part number 2, which is the rules and how it's all going to work with you guys. So to start with, we have 16 player characters. These are the characters from Vox Machina and the characters from the Nighty Nein. As I have told you before, Artagan is not playing because Artagan is taking the role of presenter, the controller of the chaos.
Absolute fucking chaos.
He is also going to be choosing the traitors, by which I mean I am going to choose the traitors. I have put all of the names of all of the characters into this little jar and I am so excited. I am beyond excited to pull them out. As you guys have probably worked out, I am not going to be revealing who the traitors are. That is you guys' job. You are trying to work out who the traitors are. So only me and Artagan and the traitors themselves know who they are. And that is going to be the biggest part of your job. So you are going to vote using all of the information gathered from watching the challenges, seeing how characters behave, listening to their answers to the questions, questions, maybe looking at who gets murdered, that kind of thing. You guys are going to vote every single time for who you believe to be the traitors. Hopefully what will happen is you guys will sniff out the traitors and they will all be gone before we get to the finale. However, if there is even one traitor in the final and they make it all the way to the end, they will get all of the coin in the treasure chest all to themselves. During most of the challenge games, there will be between 1 to 2 shields available. You guys will then decide in the comments which characters you want to protect by giving the shields to. Hopefully you don't accidentally give them to a traitor or two, but there will not always be shields available, and they will not always be guaranteed to be won either. Let's talk about the challenges then. So this is going to be interesting. This is going to be a bit of theatre of the mind and storytelling on my part, which, you know, big shocker. So the challenges are going to work like this. I have created a different challenge for every episode. I will then describe to you how the challenge plays out, and hopefully I'll have some visuals to go with it. If they are a faithful, I will have rolled for them to see how well or badly they do at the task. If they are a traitor, I will be deciding what that character would want to do, because there are ways for the traitors to benefit from making the group lose. More on that in a second. So the thing you've got to watch out for while you're listening to and watching the challenges take place is whether you think someone is deliberately doing something badly, or if you think that they have just happened to have a bad roll. Basically, do you believe them or not? Just adding an extra bit of chaos to the gameplay there.
Absolute fucking chaos.
But how can the traitors undermine the faithfuls in these challenges then? Well, when the faithfuls are successful in their challenges, they can add more and more coin to the end treasure pot. However, there will be different ways for the traitors to play badly or accidentally lose or even make other players lose, which will not add money to the end pot, but instead add money to a second pot, the traitor's reserve, if you will. So if any traitors are left in the final round, they will win not just the coin from the faithful's treasure chest, but also all of the money they have banked for the traitors pot as well. This means that there is more incentive for the traitors to act deceitfully rather than playing along as a faithful the whole way through. So they could show their hand here, but it might sometimes be worth the gamble. When we get to the final 3, I will again open it up to you guys' votes. And at this point, you will vote to either banish a particular player or to end the game believing that the final 3 are all faithful. The episode after that, I will reveal either who has been banished and then who the final 2 are and what their roles were, or no one will have been banished and we will simply reveal everyone's roles and see who has won the pot. In terms of the traitors and the faithfuls being able to win money in the challenges, it will be different every time, so I will explain that when I am explaining the challenge before I show you how it progressed. Alright, I think that is everything in terms of the rules and how the game's going to work. If you have any questions or have forgotten anything, chuck it in the comments down below and I will respond to you. But for now, let's get started with episode 1 of Critical Role meets the Traitors. Actually, it really should be the Traitors meets Critical Role, because arguably the Critical Role is the more important thing here. We'll workshop it. Welcome to episode 1 of The Traitors meets Critical Role. We are now going to meet all of the player characters who are taking part in this game. I will then pick the traitors. Now, because this is only episode 1, you guys haven't been able to vote in the comments for any questions you want to ask the players yet. So I have taken the liberty of asking them all the same question. Would you like to be a traitor? Let's see their responses. Starting off with the players from Vox Machina. First up, we have Grog. Grog, would you like to play as a traitor? Ooh, maybe. Yes. No. Wait. No. Yes. No. Do I have to remember stuff? Our next player is Keyleth. Keyleth, would you like to be a traitor? I think I could be an okay traitor, but then again, can I get back to you? Next up, Scanlan. Scanlan, would you like to be a traitor? Traitor me up, baby. Next up, we have Pike. Now, Pike, would you like to be a traitor? It would depend on who my other traitors were. I'm gonna go with maybe. Next up, Vex. Would you like to be a traitor? Oh, darling, I would be a divine traitor. And next up, we have her twin brother, Vax. Vaxeldan, would you like to be a traitor? Well, I do already look good in a hooded cloak. And finally, from Vox Machina, we have Percy. Percy, would you like to be a traitor? Me as a traitor? A bit on the nose, don't you think? And now we have the players from the Mighty Nine. And first up, we have Beauregard. Beau, would you like to play as a traitor? Hell yeah, let's boss this traitor shit! Next up, Caduceus. Caduceus, would you like to play as a traitor? No. I think I would rather enjoy the game. Next up, we have Caleb. Caleb, would you like to play as a traitor? I could not possibly comment. And next we have Not. Not, would you like to play as a traitor? Yes! Now we have Ford. Ford, would you like to play as a traitor? I'm just eager to play, I really don't mind. And now we have Jester. Jester, would you like to play as a traitor? Oh my goodness, please make me a traitor, Artie, please, 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 please. I'll never speak to you again if you don't make me a traitor. I'm kidding, Artie, I love you, but please make me a traitor, please! Next up we have Molly Mork. Molly, would you like to play as a traitor? I get to be in a secret club, wear fancy outfits, and keep secrets from everyone. Oh, sign me up. Next up we have Yasha. Yasha, would you like to play as a traitor? I think perhaps I could do? Maybe either. Yes, either one. And finally, our last player of the game, Kingsley. Kingsley, would you like to play as a traitor? Ah, the sweet smell of deception and drama. Yes, I would very much enjoy being a traitor. Well, there you have it. Those are our player characters. Have you got any suspicions about them already? Well, you shouldn't. I haven't even picked the traitors yet. All right, speaking of which, I am incredibly excited. Let us now pick the traitors. Genuinely, I am so excited. I have been excited about this idea since I first came up with doing this video. Whew. Okay, let's do it. Drum roll, please, as I pick the first traitor. Just to clarify, there will be 3 to begin with. All right, here we go. I will try not to give it away on my face. Okay, our first traitor is... interesting. Okay, our second traitor is... oh, I've got 2 in my hand. Maybe it'll just be these 2. All right. Interesting. Okay. And our last traitor is... oh, okay. These 3 working together. All right. I'm so excited. Okay, now let's move on to the challenge. I'm getting quite warm, so I'm going to take my traitor's cloak off now. So, I have chosen the traitors. The 3 traitors know who they are. No one else has any idea. Or do you? But now we're going to dive straight into the challenge. This challenge is quite aptly, I think, for anyone who's watched Critical Role, entitled Jenga. So the object of this game is for the players to stack the Jenga blocks as high as they possibly can. Every large block that they pull out and place on the top of the Jenga pile without it collapsing, that adds 100 coin to the treasure pot. When they are choosing their blocks, all of them are the same size, quite large, but there are 2 blocks that are orange, which means that they are slightly bigger and slightly stranger shapes. If the player manages to successfully put that block on the top of the stack without it falling down, this not only adds 100 coin to the treasure pot, but also acquires a shield for the group, which you guys will vote in the comments down below to say who gets it. If at any point the tower collapses, all of the coin that's been banked so far is safe, but they cannot add any more, they cannot rebuild the tower, and more importantly, any shields that have been won are cancelled out. Traitors, you might want to pay attention to that bit. If you want to fake a stumble or pretend to do badly so the tower falls, this means you have free reign to kill anyone tonight. And don't forget, some people might just be unlucky. A stumble that knocks the tower does not necessarily a traitor make. All that being said then, let's play this challenge out and see how well does the team do at Traitors Jenga. I am now going to walk you through the challenge, what happened, what the characters did, how successful they were, and I will attempt to put some pictures up on the screen so you've got something to look at while I describe this to you. So that you know the behind the scenes of this, I rolled for the order in which all the characters went, so it wasn't me selecting, it was a random roll decision. Once they were all in order, I then rolled for how well they did at completing the task. And for the traitors, I decided what they were going to do and then rolled to see how successful they were at doing it. Alright, here is how the game went. At the start of the game, everyone stands around thinking about tactics and discussing them with each other. Naturally, the Mighty Nein drift together, and Vox Machina drift together. It's not that they don't completely trust each other, although there is the air of traitors hanging around them, but they just want to stick with who they know for now. And some of the more astute amongst them are looking at the others. Caleb in particular, and Ford and Bo, Yasha as well, are staring across at Vox Machina. And from Vox Machina, you can see Percy, Vex, and Vax staring back. Keyleth, too, keeps glancing over as well. Caleb's eyes are narrowed as he scans each and every one of them, and then he turns to his own group, fixing them with this similar sort of stare. Nott is staying close to his side, looking up at him every now and again with a quick glance, but looking around at the others, and most importantly, keeping an eye on Vox Machina. We are working together, remember? Caleb has to remind her, patting her gently on the shoulder. Over in Vox Machina, Vex nudges her twin. What's the blue one's problem, do you think? What do you see, sister? The twins look across at Jester as she stands pouting with her arms folded. She elbows Ford in the ribs and says, I cannot believe Artie didn't pick me to be a traitor. Ford smiles at her and says, well, ain't that exactly what you would say if you were a traitor? Come on, Jester, it's all part of the fun. The twins glance at each other. Vex has lip-read their conversation. Scanlan is twanging on a guitar he brought with him. He sidles up to Pike and then circles around the group, then looks over at the Mighty Nein. He starts plucking at a song that he's only just created. The lyrics go something along the lines of, I am a traitor, tee-hee-hee. Yasha takes Molly's hand and points across at Scanlan. Has he not just admitted to being a traitor? She asks. Molly sniggers behind his hands. No, I think he's just fucking with us. Kingsley rests his chin on his brother's shoulder, peering across at Scanlan too. I don't think he's got it in him to be a traitor, to be honest. Pike, meanwhile, is sizing up the Jenga tower, trying to decide what she wants to do. She looks across at the Mighty Nein and then back to her own group. What do you think, buddy? And she looks up at Grog. Grog is eyeing the tower too with gleeful eyes.
Oh, I can't wait. Do we get to smash it?
No, buddies. We just have to put the blocks on the top.
Oh!
Caduceus has been standing back quietly, watching everything going on. He rolled the best, and so he gets to go first. On Caduceus's turn, he looks around at everyone, slowly taking in the scene, and then, carefully, lifts a regular coloured block and places it quite aptly onto the top of the pile. 100 coins added to the pot. Pike is up second. She waves across cheerily at the members of the Mighty Nein, gives Grog a wink, and then pulls a large regular block from the bottom of the pile and places it carefully on top. It wobbles just a little, but stays put. Third is Keyleth. She is still watching the members of the Mighty Nein closely, but she very carefully and swiftly pulls a block out of the bottom of the pile and places it carefully on the top, using some of her vines to shift it gently into place. The tower does not move. Fourth is Kingsley. He looks like he's having a grand time. Molly pats him on the back as he scurries ahead to go towards the tower. He eyes all of the blocks, for a moment considers taking an orange one, but then, deciding the risk isn't necessarily worth it so early in the game, he grabs a regular coloured block and hoists it carefully onto the top of the pile. It doesn't wobble too much, but it does shift slightly to one side. Next up is Bo. She grabs an orange difficult block at once and starts to put it on the top of the pile. But then her hand slips, the block slips, and the orange block tumbles to the ground. Everyone holds their breath, staring. But the tower doesn't fall. So, there's no shield acquired, but they can still keep playing. Jester is sixth, and to encourage her to stop pouting, Ford gives her a quick kiss on the cheek.
Grinning ear to ear, she bounds forward, picks up a regular block, and plonks it haphazardly on top. The pile looks as though it might start to fall, but then steadies itself. It's uncertain whether Artagan helped her. Up next is Vax. He walks slowly around the pile, assessing it. Then he glances over at every single member of Vox Machina. His sister shoots him a wink. Then he turns and looks at the Mighty Nein. Not getting much from them, he turns back to the tower, picks up a regular block, and carefully, swiftly, with delicate fingers, places it carefully next to Jester's block. The tower barely moves. Going 8th is a very confident Scanlan. He slings the guitar carefully over his shoulder, eyes the pile, and then, with no care in the world, grabs an orange block with the assistance of Bigby's hand. He puts it carefully on the top of the pile and grins as he turns back to Vox Machina. One shield has been acquired. Up next is Not, and she's looking a little nervous. She glances up to Caleb as if for reassurance. He squeezes her shoulder and gives her a warm smile, motioning for her to go towards the pile. She does so, and as she approaches the Jenga tower, her confidence increases. She swiftly picks out a regular block, plonks it on top of the pile, and it doesn't so much as move. Next up is Caleb. He walks slowly around the Jenga pile, carefully assessing it from every angle. He pauses, considering the last orange block, but then decides ultimately not to take it, instead opting for a regular block from the middle of the pile and placing it safely on the top. It only wobbles a little. Up next, and eager to get going, is Grog. He's been sitting on the sidelines patiently awaiting his turn, and now he takes it. He darts forward, immediately grabbing the last orange block and plonking it carefully and safely on the top of the pile. It shifts slightly to the right, almost looking as if it may topple, but it holds. The last shield has been acquired for a total of 2. Going next is Yasha, and she looks a little disappointed. Her eyes had been fixed on that last orange block as well, but no matter. She picks a regular block and places it on the top, shifting the pile slightly backwards in the other direction, more towards the centre. Straight after Yasha comes Mollymork. He walks towards the tower, rubbing his chin, eyeing it up and down. He glances towards Vox Machina, looks back at the Mighty Nein, grins at Jester, who grins back, and then he picks a block from the middle and places it carefully at the top. It shifts slightly left this time, but still doesn't topple. Next is Vex. Her brother leans in and whispers into her ear before she walks towards the tower, assessing it with narrowed eyes. Then she selects a sensible block right at the bottom, taking nothing away from the base, leaving it all intact, placing it carefully at the top of the pile and stepping backwards to admire her own handiwork. Her brother smiles at her, and so does Percy. Going next is Ford. This gets a whoop from Jester, who cheers him on. Blushing a little, he approaches the pile, and he decides to take one from close to the bottom as well. Not such a sensible pick this time though, as the base shifts ominously, but he manages to steady it at the top, nudging it into place with the hilt of his sword and stepping back. The tower stays intact. And finally, going last of all, is Percy. He adjusts his glasses nervously, stepping forwards towards the tower. All of the good, safe, sensible blocks have been moved. His only choice is to take one of the more precarious ones. He does so, and carefully, slowly, assessing every moment as though it could be his last, he slides it into the last slot at the top of the tower. For a second, it looks as if everything is going to be fine. And thankfully, it's at that moment that Artagan waves around a green flag and announces, "The challenge is over! Hurrah!" Just as he says that, the blocks topple to the ground. Scanlan laughs, Grog cheers, Jester whoops, Molly and Kingsley start laughing.
But as Artagan announced with a winning smile, the timer had already run out. You were successful. All of your money and both of your shields have been banked. And that will bring us to the end of episode 1 of the Traitors meets Critical Role. And now, if you will indulge me in the comments, it is up to you guys what happens next. So you've got 3 things that I need you to do. Number 1, decide who you think might be a traitor. Now, I know at this point you are flying a little bit blind, but that is how it goes in the show as well. Place your bets. You can pick a character you just think seems a bit dodgy. Pick someone you think was far too eager to be a traitor. Maybe you think one of the players was trying to sabotage the Jenga game. Let me know who you want to accuse of being a traitor and banish next episode. Also, you have got 2 shields to give out, so pick a player, whoever you like, to assign the shields to, and I will add up all those votes and I will see who gets the most. I might open this up over on Instagram and TikTok as well for the lols, and hey, Patreon can do some stuff too, so all of those will get added up after I have decided who the traitors are going for. With the shields, I'm going to do 3 things. Number 1, I'm going to choose 2 characters who I think the traitors are going to be targeting. Number 2, I will add up all of your votes for who you want to give the shields to, and based on that, I will decide if the characters given shields would tell anybody. Is there someone that they are close to, someone they would confide in? And if one of those people is a traitor, then they will obviously know not to go for them. However, if I don't think they would confide in anyone who's a traitor, I will leave it as the traitors have no idea who got the shields, and they will just murder accordingly with no idea if the person is safe from them or not. The third and final thing you guys have got to do in the comments down below is to give me any questions. What would you like to ask some of the characters? Now, you can pick one particular character and ask them something, or the more fun option, I think, pick a question you want every character to answer. Or if you really want, I guess you could write a different question for every single character. It's entirely up to you. Go for it. So that will bring us to the end of episode 1 of The Traitors meets Critical Role. I hope you guys have been enjoying it so far. I certainly have. Next time, I will reveal who you guys have voted to banish, whether they are indeed a traitor. I will reveal who has been given the shields, who has been murdered or saved from murder with their shield, and there will be another challenge, and the characters will answer you guys' questions. Also, don't forget to let me know how often would you like these videos. Are you happy with just once a week on Monday Madnesses, or would you like another extra one every week as well? Let me know in the comments down below. Let me know all of the things in the comments down below. So banish someone, shield another person, and give me questions. And how many times do you want these videos? Oh my goodness me. This has been chaos. This has been hilarious. I am so excited with who these traitors are. All right, I will see you very, very soon for another video. Thank you for watching. I love you all. Goodbye. So much drama. Ah.